Hey, can you hand me the Visine? No, the big one. No, yeah, thank you. Oh, sorry. Hey, it's Wednesday. I'm in love. Oh, hi, everybody. My hair's very frizzy lately. Hey, my name is Jimmy. Hi, I went to the comic book store today. You want to see what I got? Picks of the week. Ba-da, ba-da, ba-da! Things are starting to get a little bit back to normal down at the old funny book store, and there's no surer sign of that than fully half the books I bought today were from the Marvel Comics group, including The Immortal Hulk number 34. Yeah, this one. I don't know. I guess this banner guy gets angry and he turns on the. No, so this is. I don't really remember where the book left off. The Hulk has always been a big favorite of mine, because I've always had a temper, and so I like that character a lot. I can relate to that. But the leader, who is one of the Hulk's major villains, one of his arch nemesis, if not his actual arch nemesis. No, the Hulk is the Hulk's arch nemesis or Banner. But the leader's right up there. And the reason being is that Samuel Stearns, for those of you unaware, he was a janitor at the testing facility in New Mexico where the Hulk was accidentally created, if I'm remembering right. And he encountered a similar accident with gamma radiation. Instead of it making him green and super strong, it made him green and super smart. So I actually have always kind of related slightly a bit more to the leader because I do have a temper and I hate America, the world. Typical American thinking of it as the world. And I've always been smarter than for my own good. So that's a character that I like. So when I saw him on the cover, I was like, oh yeah. That was the only, like, I liked the Fight Club Hulk. What's that guy's name? Ed Norton. I like the Ed Norton Hulk fine. I like all the Marvel movies, but the real bummer of that movie never having a sequel, direct sequel anyway, was that they were clearly setting Tim Blake Nelson's character up to be the leader at the end, towards the end of that film, and so we never got to have the leader on the big screen so far anyway. And that's one of those complaints that nerds make, and I get it, but it's not like it's really ruining my day. I don't know. I hear guys say things like, "I've been waiting to see that on the big screen my whole life," and I go, "Yeah, not been doing anything else that whole time?" Because that seems stupid. I heard that a lot during what? I heard that a lot during The Watchmen, a movie I refuse to watch anyway. So who cares? All right, blah blah blah. Next up, we have with slightly smudged cover That Texas Blood #1. There's some gunk on my copy. That means it's more rare and therefore more valuable. That Texas Blood is written by Chris Condon and drawn by Jacob Phillips. Chris Condon's name sounds very familiar, and I didn't bother to Google it before I started this, so I can't remember from where I know the name. But the main reason I bought this is because Jacob Phillips is the son of Sean Phillips, who is the longtime collaborator with writer Ed Brubaker on such great books as Criminal and Fatale and Sleeper and a whole laundry list of others. So I don't know if you're at all familiar with Sean Phillips' work. You can see that the boy there is a chip off the old block, draws a very similar style, and also he's also enamored of crime fiction and stuff too, like his old man. So, and Texas is always fertile for crime fiction. All of Jim Thompson's stuff is in Texas for the most part. Joe Lansdale's crime fiction's all in Texas. Cormac McCarthy's. Texas is just a brutal landscape in general. A lovely state. I love Texas. One of my favorite places to visit. But it's one of the reasons I love to visit it is because it's so good for crime fiction, because it's very wide open and frankly frightening. And then finally, I bought this here little ditty. This is called SOS Support Our Shops. Oh, play on words. This is published by the good people over at Aftershock Comics, which I have been buying their books on the reg, because they're kind of going back to Pacific Comics and then also Avatar and Image and all the other indies. They Aftershock in general manages to pull down a lot of really talented creators because the creators fully retain full rights to the characters and work therein, so they don't have to share it with Marvel or DC, is what I'm saying. And this book is, apparently, this is what Warren down at the shop was telling me, they shipped these to shops for free, did not charge them, just shipped them out, and so they could sell them at what's the cover price? Cover price isn't even marked on here, so I'm assuming it'd be like $3.99. I probably trust my comics dealer too much. Oh wait, my receipt is right here. Hey, did you watch Jimmy's YouTube show today? He was doing his taxes. All right. Yeah, $4. And so that's all. All goes straight to the shop. So, I mean, I was gonna buy it just when I saw the cover. I was like, oh, this is in support of comic book stores. I will buy it. And then he told me that. So yeah, you got stories by Cullen Bunn and Steve Orlando and Jamie McKelvey and David Mack and Stephanie Phillips, and who I don't think is related to Sean and or Jacob Phillips. Who else we got in here? Zach Thompson. There's a lot of good names. And these anthologies, this is probably similar to the one that the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund does every year, called what is that one always? I don't remember what it's called. It's another fundraiser book though, and they get a lot of marquee names to do short stories. So they're usually not something you couldn't live without, but they're almost always really good. Like Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson did a very, very short boys story for one of those CBLDF issues. But I, as a boys completist, if I had zero interest in supporting the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, I still would have bought it. Do you see what I'm saying? That's Picks of the Week. Picks of the Week. And now Picks of last week. All right. Last week was, I didn't get, again, as much reading in. That's almost always the case. But I did get, at the very least, the 3 books that I had picked from last week's haul. So first up, we have Dying is Easy, number 5. This was a great ending. And I don't know, but it really felt like they weren't rehashing everything that had happened in the previous 4 issues, but there was enough kind of exposition dribbled in that I didn't have, because it had been 3 months since I'd read the previous issue. Didn't have any trouble following this, and it was still really good. And it's still a comic book about a former disgraced police officer who's become a stand-up comedian. There's nothing in that sentence that does not appeal to me. Even the fact that I said it. What does that mean? So this is good. Also, I feel bad that I implied this was a crappy cover last week. It's still very good. Also, last week I bought, 666 Bistro number 1 by Laura D. Graves. I found online through Emerald Comics Distro, which I believe is in Seattle, the following 2 issues, 2 and 3. So I bought those as well, because this was really great. Like I was saying last week, I am a bit of a hipster Satanist, which means that I like Satanism and all of its many... I like the aesthetic of it, generally speaking. But I shy away from the more dark metal and more over into the cutesy, those little Hot Topic girls that'll dye like their pigtails red and then they wear a little devil horn sometimes. That's what I'm into. And this was that girl made into a comic book. So it's much less creepy for me to put it into plastic and store it in my room. That's not a... That's not a funny joke. I'm laughing at how not funny it is. Shut up! And then finally, the question, the deaths of Vic Sage. Number 3. I believe this is going to be a 5-issue series all told. Book 4 was originally supposed to have come out last week. But instead, obviously, we got number 3. So I'm not sure when book 4 is coming. But it doesn't feel like it's only 1 issue left. Although, to be quite honest, it could only be 4 issues. I don't think any of those oversized Black Label series have been more than 3 issues so far. But, I mean, that doesn't mean anything, really. But yeah, it's another hella good story. This one, so far, like, we've seen the question in different time periods. And so this one, last issue was like in the Old West. I don't remember what the first issue was. That's how long ago it was. Last issue, though, was Vic in the Old West. This one is him as a Depression-era Private Eye, and so another genre that I'm very much enamored of. But at the end of this issue, we're starting to find out more of what this is. Why is he experiencing different times, yet in the same sort of identity? So those questions start to get answered towards the end of this, but, obviously you have to come back next month. And I guess the only reason I feel like it might be 5 is that it says to be continued instead of to be concluded, which doesn't mean necessarily it won't be concluded next month. You know what I'm saying. Right? Okay, good. That was Pixel last week. I think that's it then, though, for the whole thing. Everything is over with now. Right. I do have, I've got a big stack, and I've got a bunch of other stuff out there that's not just part of my weekly haul that I'm excited to tuck into. So I will be sure to let you know about that. I've also, somewhat cutting into my comic book time reading, is that I finally started reading the Beatles biography entitled Tune In. And it's a proposed 3-volume biography of the Beatles. The guy has not finished the other 2 because volume 1 is like the phone book. So I started reading that, and it's really, grabbing me. So I have been reading that more than funny books. I don't know why I'm either making excuses or I'm trying to show off how much I read. And, why not both? Why not both? All right, see you guys next week. Da-da-dee-ba-da-snappa. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Yeah, just, hook up the fire hose to the Visine. Oh, that'll be fun.